All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're going to get started here in just a second. I'm going to get my pen. Here we are. Can you guys all hear me okay? Good sound. Excellent. Okay, let's get started. I want to make sure we get through this here quickly and efficiently. Where's the camera? Here's the camera. So today is the 7th. Today is also Ticker Thursdays, so we're going to be doing that. So let me start off with a couple things that are continuing to act well. We're going to do it in a little bit reverse today. If you guys have stock tickers you want to look at, we'll certainly spend some time on that. I do want to today start off with mining stocks and silver mining stocks because they continue to do very well, and we've been kind of pointing this out all for the past for a long time, but even more so now the past few days. If you were on the show here the other day, you have heard me talk about that as well. So what you're looking at here on the chart is silver mining stocks, and I know most of you who pay attention to what we do, you've heard us talk about silver mining stocks for a long time. The ticker symbol is SILJ, and if you look at it well enough, you can see we've got essentially a breakout that's taking place here. This is a weekly chart. Now today's only Thursday. We've got 2 more trading days left in the week, but we've been coiling up here in terms of silver mining stocks for the past 2 months, right? It's been a tight coiling range, and quite frankly, this is going to be something that you might find interesting or may not, but I think most people will find this interesting. There's a tight correlation right now between this kind of stuff, like silver and gold miners, and Ethereum and Bitcoin. So keep this chart in mind here in SILJ. And now look at Bitcoin, and you can see it's a similar trading range up here. And you can look at Ethereum, which has a similar trading range up here, and it's even got a bigger one. It's Ethereum's doing well this week, by the way. It's up almost 10% on the week. So there's a tight correlation. I would venture to say that if silver miners break out, it'll be also correlating to a breakout in Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's kind of my thinking right now, and at that point, maybe broadly the stock market. But stocks, I have to say I don't take the stock market too serious anymore because it's largely algo driven. It's largely chart chasers who have no risk management, and I can't respect that because it's mostly gambling. So I wouldn't assign too much to the stock market. I can see how most people are treating the stock market as no risk management at all. And I just can't take that serious. But I think when you look at something like this, like silver miners and gold, which I can actually trace back to, more serious money flows. And when I say serious, silver mining stocks are volatile as hell and very speculative. But I can reason why that goes higher at this juncture with, still probably higher inflation for longer, still large deficit spending across the world. So I can reason with that. I can't reason, why Palantir has to go up, 10% a day. There's no fundamental reason for that. That's largely machines chasing and chart chasers with little to no experience toppling over each other to buy that stuff. So the reward to risk is horrible for something like that. The reward to risk for something like silver miners, where there's actually, or at least gold miners, which I'll show you here in a minute, to me is much more reasonable because there's actually more serious structural moves behind it. So you look at something like gold mining stocks. Again, this is using our market rover, and you can see we continue to be in a very, very bullish trend from a trending perspective. So this is gold miners, the GDX ETF. We had a bit of a pause in the trend, but the trend resumed, the bullish trend resumed in January of this year, and since then, gold mining stocks are now up about 53%. They're some of the best performing stocks some of the best performance industries in this year in general. What the hell is that stock that we talk about all week? Agnico Eagle Mines. I keep forgetting. AEM. Right. This is just another one to point out. And again, the reason I'm pointing it out is because it correlates to things like silver mining stocks. So Agnico Eagle Mines, again, strong bullish trend, had a new momentum, trend following buy signal, a T signal on July 22nd, and it continued. So, and again, it correlates with silver mines. So just thought I would point that out. Let me see here. Let's see here. Well, let's continue and look at the equity market first to take a step back on sort of a broader look at the market. This morning we're looking at futures for the S&P up another 64 basis points. So, we've been pointing out for the past 2 weeks now that there's some selling pressure, but it's not catastrophic. So what I've been pointing out here in the morning call and certainly to our clients in real time is that there is some selling pressure coming in. So again, just to recap what I mentioned all week, last week on Tuesday, the 29th, last Thursday, even the day before yesterday, which would have been, I guess, Tuesday, we've been seeing people not as happy to just buy stuff and bid it higher. That changed yesterday and again this morning, so maybe we're right back into a squeeze higher. I personally, it's not something I'm going to do here, just given the seasonality and just the history of the month of August and September. In October, we tend to see a bit more choppiness. So I'm still completely hedged. My entire portfolio is hedged. The long-term stuff, right? Not I have trades on short-term. That's a different story. But my longer-term portfolio is completely hedged. In fact, I'm probably net short. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I haven't changed that yet at all overall. We had a lot of questions last week on Palantir. And Palantir is doing exactly, for any of you guys that are familiar with our steep moves, go vertical moves, this is a classic case of that. Palantir is by every definition going vertical now. I'll give you an example of a stock I did this recently and then ended up pausing, which of course is Roblox, which, if any of you guys were remembered about, when was this? This was during COVID. I loved the company and I loved what they were doing. And I actually still do, but I'm very much aware that it's become an algo name. So you look at something like Roblox, and when it goes too steep, it just corrects, right? So for example, when this particular stock corrected and went vertical on Thursday last week, right, from peak to trough, that stock then dropped about 18% in like a day and a half. It's picking back up, but this is the problem with chasing, right? And it's relentless chasing going on, and the S&P is the same thing. You don't have to look very far. If people chased on the 31st of July, so last week Thursday, they very quickly got it handed to them. But of course, because people don't risk manage, they keep getting rewarded for chasing, and it just hoping things go back up. But that stops at some point, and it does all the time. It's just people keep forgetting that's normal procedure. William's asking, what is the difference between coiling and a trading range? Well, okay, so a trading range can be anywhere, right? So let's take a look at, for example, a trading range in the S&P 500 that we had. I'm just going to pick anything here, right? So the trading range is this, right? So this is your trading range that we had back then. The definition of you could say it's coiling up, but you tell me if the S&P is at the bottom of that range, is it really coiling up or is it just consolidating? I would say it's consolidating. If it's closer to the upper end of the range, it's coiling for the potential breakout, but it's not a breakout until it's a breakout, right? So that's kind of my definition of the differentiation between coiling and consolidating, or trading range. If you guys have stocks you want to look at, individual tickers, please let me know. I'll be happy to go through with you guys right now. Nicholas is asking, would the algos sell again at the previous recent highs? I don't know. You tell me when it happens, but I don't know. I can't predict that. I'm sure someone on YouTube and with a hot Twitter account will tell you that that's going to happen. I don't know. I just don't know. We have a process. We have the market rover. We have our momentum indicator. And if they give us signals on that, great. Right now, the S&P is neutral, believe it or not, from a long-term trend perspective. From a short-term perspective, momentum remains bullish. So for all of you guys using the trend or momentum indicator, which is, where the hell is the trender? 1 second. Here. Okay, so let me show you this. So the trender has the S&P still in a bullish momentum move. So this is the S&P 500 from a trending perspective. From a momentum perspective. And we've had a bullish momentum move all the way since April, and it remains bullish momentum. It hasn't really changed. Like, there hasn't been a sell signal yet, a down arrow yet. So we don't have bearish momentum yet. If we do, we'll change from a trading perspective, right? So I don't know how the algos are going to react up there. I just don't know. Benito wants to look at ELF. Okay, I don't know the ticker, but let's have a look at it. ELF, Elf Beauty. Well, let's go through the process. So first of all, Elf Beauty, and I'm going to make an assumption here, which I just don't know, but I'm going to assume this doesn't have a lot of volume. So just keep this in mind. I'm going to quickly have a look here right now. If you guys give me just a second. ELF. Actually, it has a lot of volume. 2 million shares traded. Okay, so ELF. Let's see what's going on. ELF. First of all, ELF is in a trading range. So I would, number one, just keep that in mind. So as far as I'm concerned, ELF right now is in a trading range. I don't know really what there is to do unless the stock breaks above or below this trading range. I personally don't see much to do. That's my personal view on that. Benito, does that make sense to you? AMD, of course, had a move yesterday on the back of, let me bring it up, on the back of earnings. I don't think it's changed. If we look at AMD, two things. Let's first look at the trend, right? So that's the long-term stuff. So this is AMD from a long-term perspective. So AMD is still in a neutral trend. So it's actually not bullish trend. It hasn't changed. So the trend has not changed. It's neutral. It's kind of in no man's land. From a short-term perspective, which is the short-term trading perspective, which is what I'm going to presume is the nature of the question, what you have is still bullish momentum. We held support yesterday. AMD remains bullish momentum. When that changes, we change. It hasn't changed at all. It's bullish momentum still, and that's it for right now. And then AAOI. I don't know what that is, but let's have a look. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So AAOI is in bearish momentum. Okay. So the momentum for AAOI is bearish. You can see we had a momentum buy signal back in June. We now have momentum sell signal. Now let me see when they have reported earnings. So they're going to report earnings after the close today. Is today the 7th? I think today's the 7th, right? Yeah, so they're going to report earnings, it looks like, after the close today. So I have no comment on this stock because we don't hold swing trades through earnings. I think that's a complete gamble. Let me just make sure what's going on here. Or did they already report? It says after the close. Yeah, they're going to report after the close today. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I will never hold a trade through earnings reports. A trade, not an investment, a trade. So I don't know. Right now I'm telling you it's bearish momentum, but it's irrelevant to me because I don't hold it through earnings. SMCI, right? So SMCI, of course, super microcomputer, continues to be a one of those AI darlings. So let's have a look at SMCI. So SMCI, again, we don't hold swing trades through earnings. It's an extremely low probability way of trying to make money in markets. Now SMCI, from a momentum perspective, again, it had earnings yesterday, so keep that in mind. It still technically has bullish momentum, right? So that buy signal that we received, but again, we don't hold it through earnings. So it's not like it's not like we're in a losing position here. It's just that the stock gapped down after earnings. it's going to take some time for the stock to start doing something and change its momentum. So right now it's kind of in no man's land. Is the way I would look at it here. So that's that. So that's a whole lot of things we look at. We looked at SMCI, we looked at AOI, we looked at AMD, ELF, we looked at, of course, the S&P, we looked at the minor stocks. Has this been helpful for you guys folks today? Yes? No? Oh, please make sure you give us a thumbs up like on the video. And if you're brand new, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you've been around for a while and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. It's free. Obviously, it's just a YouTube channel. Also, for James, does that make sense on AAOI? You're asking, James Kerrigan, you're asking about AAOI. Do you see what I'm trying to do? Right? We don't hold, and that's not, you do whatever you want, but we don't hold trades through earnings, swing trades. And the reason we don't is because it's a complete crapshoot in terms of the outcome. As an investment, that's a totally different story, right? An investment, by all means, if I like the investment thesis, that's fine. But as a trade, there's no edge. There are specific options trades that one can do if the options are mispriced. But other than that, holding a swing trade through earnings, it's unless you're doing it just as some sort of a Yahoo trade and you say you don't really care, that's a different story. But anyway. Cool. All right, folks. We'll see you guys back here on Monday. I will hopefully be back in the in my office on Monday, so no more of this vacation background here. But we'll see you guys back in the office on Monday. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, it's obviously free. Please hit the subscribe button, and please give us a thumbs up like. Very important. If you're a member, we'll see you over in Trade Ops in about 10 minutes. Thanks, folks. See you soon.